So man, you've been covering this thing a long time. We've had Bob Pockers on, we've had Jennifer Fryer on. In terms of the way the sport is covered from a writing perspective, and I know you do other things like the podcast, et cetera, but how much has it changed in the time that you've been here?
Well, the biggest thing is that there's a lot fewer of us now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when I got into it, like all the Southern newspapers still had a beat writer they're sending to every race, and the media corps is pretty big. The media center was filled with like daily newspaper writers. I mean, it was pretty, I mean, there was a strong media corps that was traveling every week. Now, I mean, for the people that are actually, you know, like the beat writers who are really there that often, I mean, there's probably 10 of us or less that are left. And, you know,
Used to be 10 just from the state of North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
the Mulherns, David Pools, Jim Utters. I mean,
Monty Dutton.
Right.
I mean,
right.
The media center was full. I mean, completely different than what it looks like right now.
And I think that's the biggest thing because, you know, back then with more people asking questions, more people think of different angles or storylines or uncover things. And then if you were like, oh, dang, that's kind of a cool angle, or that's a, you know, everybody would jump on that, or they'd get one guy to say something and you kind of build off that. Now with fewer people, you're not getting as many storylines, I feel like. So it's you sort of have to work a little bit harder to uncover some of this stuff.
It's also changed, though, because you were here when what really helped change the sport, I think, as well, is social media. You know, I remember, and believe it or not, there was a day when, like, Dale Jr. wasn't on Twitter. And he said he wasn't getting on Twitter unless he said he won the Daytona 500, he would join. So that night, I remember taking the picture, you know, for him and being there when he sent his first tweet out. And to me, that has changed a lot of access to people. Like, to find out the news, I don't go to I get on Twitter and just you scroll and find out everything you need to know in seconds. You were there you were probably one of the first ones, you and Bob were probably some of the first ones to embrace that and take it and make something out of it. I mean, you started doing the tweet up stuff, and, you know, now that's a pretty common thing.
Where did tweet up the idea come from?
I think it was yours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, basically, I had started to get a little bit of a following. I think I had like 2,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
So at the time, that seemed like a lot. And people were starting to be like, hey, let's say hi at the track or something, you know? So it just, instead of trying to coordinate with everybody separately, I was like, well, let's just meet up in one spot.
Right.
Time,
you know?
yeah.
So, yeah, it was just easier that way. And the first tweet up, I think there was like 3 people. And then the next week at Richmond, there was like two dudes. It was like a blind date or something. Like I was like, meet over by this.
You had your first threesome at Richmond. Is that what you just said?
There goes Brett.
I knew I get it.
So like with that said, I'm gonna give you credit right here, man, because I think you pioneered a lot of things on the social media side and on the writing side. It's almost like you have a marketing mind and you're a journalist because you have your 12 questions, you have the tweet up thing, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that the quiet track pick that you do. Like, is that things that just come into your mind and you just go forward with them because you've had that freedom, or do you actually put thought into it?
I don't really view it like, oh, I need to build my brand or something. But at the same time, I think that, like, because I was at NASCAR Scene. It was my dream job, right? Like, I was a reader of NASCAR Scene, and I was like, someday I'm going to work there, and I ended up working there. And then it went away.
Yeah.
I lost my job. I got laid off. And so I was like, well, I mean, if I'm going to stick around, especially when Twitter was coming around, I'm like, I have to. Now you kind of have to build yourself up or do something to make a name for yourself. So I just mostly just started doing the same things every week because it was like, well, if I post a quiet track every week, then it's my routine, you know?
Yeah. And people from other, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but like, well, you obviously do, but people from dirt tracks, from local short tracks around the country are posting the same pictures and they're tagging you, which is really cool to see. I feel like you were one of the first people to really spearhead the fan engagement side, where fans have more access to submitting questions to drivers and to you guys all on social media, which didn't exist a few years ago, you would think, right?
Before social media, you didn't find Bob and you outside the media center garage area. Now you guys go out there and meet fans and get together with people and stuff. And you know, if I'm Bob, I'm doing a quiet track pick like at 4 a.m. when I get to the track. Quiet early morning track pick, but no, it's been cool to see it grow.
You have built your brand, though. I mean, you
sold hats.
Yeah, you took on a marketing.
I never actually. They were never actually for for sale. That was just a myth.
That was funny.
But people,
But you kind of have to, right? Because it's survival. You have to
Yeah.
realize, and I think that the old school journalism model was, I'm going to work at this newspaper or magazine, and I'm going to write my opinion, and people will just read it. Like I will just proclaim this. And when I got let go from NASCAR scene, I started SB Nation, had to build it from like nothing. You're like, well, these people are like my customers essentially, right?
Right.
This is my audience, so I better get to know what they think about things, or what drives them, or what motivates them, what they like, what they don't like, because I need to know what they want to read, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the more you're in touch with your listeners or your readers or whatever, your viewers, I think the more you know what direction to go in, because that's the people that you need to guide your content to.
Right. So The
Yeah.
Athletic comes about, and you leave jeffgluck.com, which when you did jeffgluck.com,
So you left yourself?
I left myself.
you broke up with yourself.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
your threesome?
Yeah, right. That's right.
So I literally am looking at this thing, and I'm like, jeffgluck.com. Like, I think this is a good idea. And I'm like, are fans going to really pay for this? And I'm like, well, fans were paying for subscriptions to, the scene and everything else. So, if you provide content, they will come, which you did. You moved to The Athletic. Why did you do that?
Well, I wasn't really looking to move at all. They called like pretty much all the NASCAR writers, and were like, I mean, everybody in the media center, I think, and they were like, oh, we want to start some racing content. We actually want to invest in racing content, which
Is a big deal.
Yeah, nobody else was really.
Especially
people
now.
are cutting, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an attractive thing. Like, well, maybe that would be good to go somewhere that's actually building up. And at the same time, I was noticing, I was like about 2.5 years into my own projecting, and
And back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
And doing well with your own thing, were you happy with where you were?
Yeah, it was at a good level, but I was starting to have a few months earlier this year where I was getting more people deleting than adding. There was always people turning over, right?
Right.
For various reasons, people would cut their pledges, or people would add.
Yeah.
But what happens is, so like on Patreon, which is how I was funded through jeffgluck.com, you'd get surveys, exit surveys. So when someone deletes their pledge, it would automatically send them a thing, say, why'd you delete?
Yeah.
And some people more and more were saying, well, I don't like the direction NASCAR's going, or sorry, nothing against you personally, but, I'm just not as much of a fan anymore. I'm losing interest, so I'm going to delete my pledge. And I'm starting to think, ooh, this could, in about a year from now, if people keep deleting or something, that's taking money like directly out of my own pocket. Maybe it would be good to get to a more stable place. And this is just at the same time they happen to call. So I'm thinking about it like, maybe this wouldn't be a bad move.
Yeah.
Before I get in a situation where I'm like, now I really need to move.
Right.
Maybe I should move.
Right.
Yeah.
Spotting is hard, but moving is even harder.
But we can make it easy. Use OfferPad or OfferPad.com to sell your home, and TJ is going to load up the truck and help you move your stuff.
No, OfferPad will help you move, and that's no joke.
OfferPad.com. Move freely.